pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
If you're trying to take your HVAC game to the next level, then buckle your seatbelt, crank up the volume, and try not to be offended. Because you're listening to the HVAC Uncensored Podcast with Gil Cavey and Kelly McKay. Now, here's Gil and Kelly.
What is up, everybody? Sorry about that. My microphone was crackling and I didn't know what was going on. But let me just go ahead and bring in my guest so we can get going on this. Welcome to the show, Miss Stacey Fore from Triple Play Home Services. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, was I crackling? Was that crackling when it was coming through?
It's weird because I tried to unmute myself and then it really quickly muted me back again. So there was something funky going on.
I wasn't sure. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just edit that out when it goes out. But yeah, sorry about that. Well, thank you so much for coming on this morning. I appreciate it. I guess if you want to let everybody know who Miss Stacey Fore is.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. Stacey Fore. I own Triple Play Home Services with my wonderful husband, Mike Fore. And we've been doing this about 14 years now in Oklahoma.
That's awesome. And I heard that you have a special guest out there today that's helping train your team.
I do. I have J-Dub Moneymaker.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'm very, very happy for Jay. He's been going all over the place, and you hear what he's done for different people, and it's amazing. Like a lot of guys joke back and forth, and they bust each other's balls, so to speak. But he's been really out there helping people, man. That's awesome. I'm really happy and proud of him.
Yeah, he's an amazing human. I relate to people on a people level. So people have to convince me a little, right? And Jason just won my heart. I think he's a great guy. And Dave's with him here, and they're doing training with my staff, and they all love him. So we're excited.
Hey, you can't beat that. How long does Jason stay with your team?
He'll be here 3 days. So he'll leave. I think he flies out tomorrow night.
Nice. And if you guys didn't hear, she is located right outside, Oklahoma City, or right outside of it, one of the suburbs. So you guys been in business 14 years, I guess. How has it been being because I've had it before, like a husband and wife team, because some people that they can't get through that kind of stuff, being a husband and wife business owners.
It's hard. Yeah. So it's interesting. That's a great question because recently this has come up a lot with our employees even. We have a fantastic team. From culture to text to all of that. But we have a young team. Most of our technicians are fairly young in the industry. So they watch and they listen a lot, right? Even on their off time, they're in our offices, they're watching, they're listening, they're talking, they're gaining knowledge about all the things. And recently one of them said to us, "We think it's fantastic the way you guys work together. We don't know that we would be as successful if we didn't have both of you." And Mike and I kind of looked at each other like, well, that's a different perspective. Sometimes we look at each other going, did you have to come to work today? It's one of those things. So it just takes a lot of patience, takes a good marriage, takes a lot of divisions of roles and kind of sticking to them, and a ton of cross training to know each other's perspectives. So we know where each other's at, and we understand that really well.
That's awesome to hear, because there's got to be times at home where you got to be able to turn business off. You got to be able to, hey, we're home. And I know it's easier said than done, but I've just heard that from other couples who own companies, and they're just at some point it's got to be hey, we're not going to think about the business or try to do something. You know what I mean?
It's hard. What's really hard? It's hard when you have really high goals and you're very motivated people. It's hard because you're constantly in development mode. You're constantly in idea mode. And so you're bouncing these ideas nonstop, and ideas don't turn off at 5. In fact, most of the great ideas come in after 5, right? Yeah. When you think and focus. And so, you have to be really intentional about your personal time. I'm not going to say we've perfected that. I'd be lying. We're not. It's fucking hard. It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, great. I got my guest to say fuck for the first time because this is uncensored, so we use foul language.
Yeah, hang on, Gil. Just hang on. It'll start to come out.
Yeah. Excuse me. So I know it was great. We talked off air. So you said, you hear a lot of these horror stories about COVID and people or their business. Sadly, a lot of businesses closed down. A lot didn't survive it. To me, I think a lot of those was they didn't have a good foundation or base going into it. But you said that you guys have thrived and boomed through COVID, correct?
Mm-hmm. We have. Yeah. We haven't laid off anyone. We've hired about 10 new people through COVID. Mike is better at numbers on this, but I think the last I heard from him, we're about 65% up in revenue. And that holds true from gross to net, right? Yeah, we've done really well. So, I do feel bad for people who got hit hard. I also think it has to do with the area of the country that you live in as well. That has a huge part to do with it, right? We're in Oklahoma, so enough said.
Yeah, here, and not to go like political, but being so close to DC, we thought we were going to get hit a lot harder. Like you had the frustrations, like you had to go into people's house, glove, mask, look like you're wearing a suit, and it sucks for the techs, but our guys put a smile on their face. They knew what they had to do and they did it. So it wasn't a big deal, but we were the same way. We stayed busy, and I knew wintertime when it was cold, we were fine. That shoulder season, maybe we felt it a little bit more than we would have. But once summer comes, people aren't going to sit in their house and sweat, COVID or not COVID. They're going to get their AC fixed. So it started off like it normally would.
Right. I would actually say that the mild temperatures this summer in Oklahoma, like normally we have really hot, humid days, right? Especially when June, July hits. We didn't quite have that after June. June was really, really hot and humid, but then we just got this cool front. It's like we switched weather with the Pacific Northwest. I think Travis Smith got all of my hot weather and we got all of their normal cool weather. And so I think that affected us more when it came to, we still hit all our goals. So I don't know if it really affected us or not, but I think it had more impact than COVID did for sure.
Yeah, no, that's a good point because I think we were the same way. We hit all the goals that we wanted to and broke some goals actually in the summer months. But normally in Maryland, we have where it's May, June, July, August. That is really your hot months. And yeah, we don't have anything after that. This year, August really wasn't that hot. And I would say the end of July really was. And June was very, very good. So it feels like the summer's dropping off sooner than it used to be. Like 2018 is the best summer here that I can remember, where it was already 95 degrees in May. It was hot in June, July, August. And, that was one of the best years that I've ever been a part of. Granted, it wasn't where I am now, but I wish we could have a summer like that again. So you guys are the same way. It's like 4 months of summer and then it goes off.
Yeah, it's really difficult, right? Because we try to do all of our spring tune maintenances. We try to start them in March, but weather here, at 70, 75, it's kind of hit or miss. And then we have thunderstorms for like 3 months. So by the time you get done with May and you're done with all those thunderstorms that are coming your way and all the reschedule crap, then it gets really hot. And so June is typically your best kind of hot month, rolls into July, and then August it starts to taper down. But it was okay for August. I think we actually did better in August than we did in July this year.
Nice.
Yeah, Oklahoma's just really weird weather. But yes, basically the same 4 months.
Because I think you guys, I've never been to Oklahoma, but I want to say it's similar to us, where it's the 4 month summer, that you still have the 2 shoulder seasons, spring and fall. And then if you have a good winter, that makes winter. But you guys can get pretty cold, like snow and stuff too, like we do.
Well, we can. This last year, we had what we call the ice apocalypse, which was in February. No one really saw it coming, and it got to be about -28 with chill factor. And no one in Oklahoma knows what to do with that. No one. It was good for our plumbing division. So, that was kind of nice. But no one really knew what else to do with it. So for HVAC, though, we don't really get cold till January. So we don't have a lot of on-demand heating calls that are super, urgent decision-making calls until January. And then it's January, February. And then we kind of switch into like this really slow March because it's like half and half. You never know what's going to happen in March. Could be winter, could be not. And then April is full-blown thunderstorm season.
No, that makes sense. So if you guys don't start your on-demand heating calls until January, obviously you have plumbing, which you said we'll get into. You just added like a year ago. Are you guys heavy on the maintenance? How are you keeping those guys busy in that shoulder season?
We do. So we actually don't. I know everyone calls it shoulder season, and I get what we mean by that. But for us, maintenances are no different than on-demand calls. In fact, they're better because like our average maintenance ticket for a prepaid is about $3,300. And I know that it could be better. Don't get me wrong, but I'm still pretty proud of that because like 4 years ago, it was $250.
Yeah, you should be damn proud of that.
So we're pretty proud of that. So we have a ton of maintenance customers, and we believe those are as important as on-demand calls, maybe more so because they are our members. They've committed to us where, we have this long-standing relationship with them. So we really kind of October, November, December is kind of the months where we're really getting those done. Some people prefer us to come in some of those months versus others. And we do it. We do it whenever they want. So we really don't have like this shoulder season. It's just the urgency when it gets super cold for heat, right? So we're playing. Yeah.
And I agree with you 100%. And to be honest, I didn't even start saying shoulder season until like recently, but you're right. I agree. Those maintenance customers are just as important, if not more valuable, because, you're going to sell. Well, I don't want to use that frame sell, but that ticket is going to be higher to an existing customer than that first time customer. So
100%.
Yeah.
100%. No doubt.
Yeah. And I know you see all these guys, and I'd love to have your opinion. We see in the group, all people are saying like, oh my God, people are doing these $49 maintenances and stuff like that. And I would love to know your feeling. Do you guys run specials with discounted maintenance, or do you keep it what it is? And
no, so get me in the door. My CSR's jobs is to book a call. So, Stop worrying about what your service call fee is today. Stop worrying about whether or not you're like giving away extra dollars and like this tune. Get in the door. See, here's the problem. This is how I feel about it. If you can't sell, then you're worried about the service call fee to cover your time. But if you can get in the door and do what's right for the customer and present their options and give them solutions and close the sale, then you shouldn't be worried about the $49 that you just left on the table. Who cares?
Amen.
So just get me in the door. I can sell. I can close. Just get me in the door.
And I'm trying to get through these people. And I agree with you 100%. I'm like, it's all about when that customer's calling around. Oh, how much is your tune up? Oh, 125. Oh, yours is 49. Yeah. Can I come to you? You know what I mean? That's pretty much what they're doing. So you're trying to get in their door, like you said, for the options to, and I try to get through because HVAC Uncensored is, some business owners, a lot of technicians. And I think more so you hear from the technician side is, I don't want to be that slick talking salesman and stuff like that. I'm not a salesman. I'm a technician. Right. And I try to get to them. It's like, hey, even like things like Jason does and these different trainers, it's not promoting dishonesty or lying. It's about being thorough and creating options. Those days of going out, putting the capacitor on, never going inside and leaving. How are you really helping the customer? You're not. I think guys are so mind fucked so much that they think they're doing the right thing without realizing they're not.
Yeah. So here's the thing, like we are not salesmen, right? Our job is to educate, let the customer know what's going on, do the right thing for them, give them options and let them pick. And if you do those things, the process works. It works. But if you're going out just to like always get the high dollar sales, like get out of here with that. I don't really care. I don't have, I have no room for that kind of mentality, but just get in the door. Just get in the door. That's all you need. And people are going to say all day long, oh, but they're price shoppers. Well, of course they are. Everyone's a fucking price shopper. Don't act like you're not going to the mall or to Walmart or somewhere else and looking for the better deal. Everyone is a price shopper. The problem is that they don't know you yet. So what you're saying to them is, pay me a lot of money to get to know me and trust me. And that's on you, nothing to do with me. I have no responsibility in this relationship. And then come out and automatically buy from me because... No one does that. I don't do that. No one does that. So I just don't care about that. Like my CSR's job is to book the call. And if they book a call for $0 to get us in the door, book the call.
I agree. Amen. And it's great to hear you say that. And I figured that you would feel the same way. It's just, I see some of these things in the groups and I feel like when you mix the business owners with the technicians, and like a lot of those guys don't know what they're saying because they don't know the business side of it. You know, you hear the technician side and it's like, oh, well, I'm only getting $49 and now my ticket. I'm like you just said, if you can't get in there and be thorough and offer other options, that other $40-$50 they took off was the least of your worries.
Least of your worries. Plus, I mean, no one should really be paying their technicians commission, in my opinion, on a service call or whatever. So the technician wasn't getting any commission or credit for that call anyways. Their credit is in how they can do their job once they're in the door.
Yeah, that's how we are. So we pay our guys an hourly wage, and then, you know, they have little spiffs and bonuses and stuff they get, but it's nothing that promotes dishonesty. That's the only reason. I know a lot of guys do the whole like lower dollar an hour with a percentage. And that's the only reason that we've stayed away from it, is because we don't want to go that way. Because a lot of our guys would probably make more money, you know, to be honest. It's just, I don't want to promote that.
Yeah, so we do the same. It's a fair wage plus a small commission, and so we don't want to promote dishonesty. We just want to, you know, have a little bit of motivation there, and it's kind of industry standard, I guess. As much as I hate that word, our real value is in how we treat our people and all the benefits and the extra things, right? So compensation is not based on hourly rate. If you're listening, listen. Your compensation from your owners is not the per hour rate that you get with times the hours on your paycheck. It is all of the other wonderful things that they do for you. Hopefully you have good owners that matter. So when you're sitting down figuring out your annual compensation, ask how much training have they given me? Do they provide uniforms? What's the benefit package? What's my 401k package? What do my vans look like? Are they brand new? Am I getting tool allowances? Add it all up, then complain.
Yeah. Amen. Our guys have been pretty good. We have a few, sometimes you got to wheel them back in. You know, they like, oh man, I think they have it so good that they forget. And then sometimes you bring it to them and they're like, oh yeah. You know, we're the same way. We do all that stuff with the culture. They say it's hard to find good people. Yeah, you're right. So when you find them, you got to keep them, you know, so we try to do things to make them, their opportunity is here with us. They don't have to go somewhere else. Most people leave for opportunity, not for always for money. Sometimes money just happens to be involved in the opportunity. So we want them to know they can grow here. We have a guy, we're sending guys to the Ultimate Tech Academy in Arkansas. We have a guy left for California for Victor Rancourt's class this morning, you know, so we're always, and these guys don't pay for that. That's all on us, you know, Ryan, the owner. So it's
same with us. I mean, we've got people going to Jason's class next month. I've got people going to Victor's class next month. I'm constantly cycling them through training. We have Joe Cicera as our all people coach, right? So we're constantly doing that, and that's all value. And at the end of the day, that's their knowledge to take if they choose to leave. But I've paid for that. So my team's fantastic. They don't really ever complain about stuff like that. Once in a while, you see them forget, and then they do exactly that, right? Like, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard some owners say, and it's been a while, I haven't heard it in a while. I had a conversation with somebody when I was just doing audio podcast. There was no video. And he was like, well, I get so nervous to train my technicians because what if I train them and they leave? And I'm like, it's going to happen, man. I'm like, but you can't not do that and affect your company by thinking everyone's going to leave. And if you do train them and they leave, you don't have a training problem. You have a culture problem. You know, Why are they leaving?
Well, what if they stayed? Like, that's the question I would have is, but what if you did an amazing job training them and they stayed? Like, that's a win-win for everybody. So like, throw away the junk thoughts in your head about the what ifs of all the negative and just focus on what is right now today and what could be the good that comes out of that, and focus on that. The bad you can't control. You have no damn control anyways, right? If they're going to leave, they're going to fucking leave. That's the way that it is. But if you pour into them now and you have an opportunity for them now, and if you say to them, and Mike says this to the guys all the time, I want nothing more than to train you so that you are so brilliant and so talented that you rise above me in every possible way. Take my seat, please. Take my seat. I will do that for you, right? And oftentimes they get into that training mode and then they're like, oh shit, fuck this. Like, I don't want to be a business owner, right? It's so much easier to be a technician position or a general manager or whatever. So most of the time they see that. But if not, Mike will be the first person. Mike will go lease their first building and buy them trucks and get them set up if they really have done the work and they really are focused on that. He doesn't care about that.
That's awesome. Yeah. So Ryan is the same way here. He bends over. Like I say, he's a younger guy, but he bends over backwards for our techs. And sometimes we were talking the other day, and I said, how come sometimes it feels like, we let the guys hold us accountable, but if we hold them accountable, they get angry. Yeah. It's one of those things. I'm like, hey man, like we're bending over backwards for you guys. Like you gotta take a little smack on the PP sometimes too, just like you guys come in and yell at us, because we want them to be able to come in and be like, hey, this happened. I didn't like it. Or, hey, I wish we could change this. We always say that everything's an experiment. Right. Some things are going to work. Some things aren't. We're constantly evolving, trying to get better as a company, as owners, as managers, as technicians. We're constantly trying to grow, because what works at one company may not work here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Because culture is really only based on the people that are in it. No two companies will ever have the same culture. They might have equally happy employees, right? But they're never going to have the same culture because it's very subjective. So absolutely, fail forward fast, right?
Yep. Yeah, I love that. I guess so. So you said you guys have been in business 14 years. And the last year you guys have started plumbing. How has it been? I know that's the big thing. Everybody's trying to venture into plumbing, electrical. How has that adventure been for you guys?
Well, so I love HVAC. It's where my heart is. It's what I know. It took me a long time to learn it and figure I feel like I kind of mastered it in some sense. So plumbing, it kind of feels almost like I'm cheating on HVAC, trying to get to know plumbing. It's been a little harder than I expected. I'll admit I didn't go into it with a great attitude. I was kind of a little like, I don't know about this. Like, are you sure, Mike? And I said, okay, great. That's your baby. You take it on. So it's a story in progress. We're doing okay. We're carrying the overhead that the plumbing gives us with the plumbing, but I wouldn't say that we're super profitable on plumbing yet, but we just hit the year mark. So I'm not sure when we should expect that, but.
Well, and I don't know, we don't have one, but talking to other people, I think you're kind of right on mark as far as, I think a lot of times your big boy, your HVAC is going to be paying for plumbing for a little bit until eventually you got to stop. You don't have to keep robbing Peter to pay Paul anymore.
Yeah. I can't wait for that day. Also, here's the real reality, right? I love my plumbers. They're just a little different than HVAC guys. They're not all the same. Not all tradesmen and women are created equal in the trades when it comes to the way that they see the trades. So it's been a little different adjusting to a plumbing mindset. There's the nicest way to say that.
That's true. And it's good that you say that, because it is different. Maybe, especially in the service industry, maybe the guys who do like new construction that all work together, the plumbers are there, the HVAC guys, the electrician, maybe that's a little different. But I agree 100% on the service side. It is very different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is very different.
One question that I forgot to ask is, how did you guys get into HVAC owning a business? Like how did that come from?
So we moved to Oklahoma from California. Mike's from Southern California. I'm from Northern California. We met in SoCal when I was down there working many years ago. And we moved out here for my career at the time, which I developed off-campus student housing and then, scouted for new properties and built them up. And Mike had gotten out of the Coast Guard, and he went to his dad, who worked for a large home builder in Southern California, and had been in construction for his whole life. And he said, hey, can I come to work for you? And his dad said, absolutely not. I don't want you working as a trim carpenter. I want you to go get a skill somewhere where everyone needs it all the time. So he said, listen, go to HVAC school, because no matter where you go in the world, someone needs heating and cooling, right? So Mike went to HVAC school. He joined the union in California. He worked for union companies there, did some time. We moved out here, worked for a couple of companies here. And on his birthday in 2009, I think about that, his birthday, while he was on vacation, he got laid off. The company went out of business. And he said to me, okay, well, I can take my contractor's test. I'm ready for it. I've had my time. I can do this. And he had some lofty goals, right, of treating people right and doing it ethical and, all this kind of stuff. And I said, great, go do it. And honestly, in the beginning, I was kind of like, do I want to own this? I don't know. I know nothing about HVAC, nothing. So I stayed at my career for about a year just to make sure we could still feed the family and see how this went. And he just killed it the first year. So then I quit my career and, joined him at the home office at the time.
That's awesome. Have you guys always been Triple Play Home Services, or did you rebrand or rename?
Yeah, we just rebranded this summer. So it used to be HVAC Solutions, which was really just 2 keyword searches, right? But then we added plumbing, and really, people call it Havoc. They don't know what HVAC stands for. It was very confusing to consumers, and in marketing, it was killing my PPC budget. So we decided, well, we got to tell a better story about who we are and what we do. And so we rebranded to Triple Play. Nice.
Do you guys do that through Antonelli and all that?
So I love Dan. Dan's a good friend of mine. Dan did not do my brand.
Oh.
We use Ad Leverage, and so Ad Leverage did our brand for us. Mike actually came up with the name, so he took the name, and we just kind of developed off of that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because I think I looked up and I saw one of your trucks and like the logo and stuff, and it kind of looks like something Dan would do. So that's why I said his name.
Yeah, no, Dan's a great friend and he does great work. But Mike had the name and kind of just was making some changes in our business anyways. And it kind of just rolled that way.
Nice. Was that a hard process? Like, was that hard? Was it harder than you thought it was going to be?
So much harder. It was so much harder. The entire process from conception of having to rebrand was about a year ago when we started plumbing. And Dan will laugh at this because he did tell me, your name sucks. Like, your name sucks. Your logo sucks. And I've heard I'm not the only person that Dan says your name or your logo sucks to, but we love you, Dan, all the same. We love you for your honesty and telling us hard truths. So it was hard to hear that. It was hard to give up what we thought we had created this really good brand, right? Because it's in our hearts. It's great. And we love it. And then this coming up with the name and figuring out if that matches what we want to tell the story about us. And then all of the other shit that comes with rebranding. It was a lot harder and a lot more time consuming than we thought. And it wasn't anyone's fault. It is just the process.
Yeah. Were your customers receptive to it? Did you have any kickback?
No, absolutely not. In fact, we've just had amazing feedback on the logo and the mascot, which is actually a real dog. We have a real Blue Merle Great Dane named Blue that we have. He just passed all of his puppy training. So he's really our live mascot, which is why Andrew was so creative in making the blue dog, because I wanted a mascot so bad. So yeah, it was a journey.
That's good. Yeah, we've he told us when I talked to him about Beltway's logo, we have a B and it's good. And I, especially when Ryan created all this, but he's talked about the whole branding things. It's been a conversation, not like, hey, we're going to go do this. But I know when I showed Dan ours and he was like, yeah, that's a waste of space on your truck. Because we did like that. It was the half wrap, which we think looks good the way it's together. And he was like, yeah, you wasted the other half of your truck. I was like, thanks, Dan. I was like, all right.
Thanks for keeping us real, Dan.
Yeah. But that's why he's good at what he does. And that's why his trucks win awards and people, pay what they pay for those.
That's right.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's definitely, I was wondering about that, how that works, just going through your customers, like I said, because we've thought about acquisitions and we know that's going to be different but I guess that's rebranding it with new customers though. So that's a little different. That's why I brought up that question. So all yours were your existing customers, just changing the name. If we were to get a company and then you rebrand them together, now you have half of your real customers, half of these customers that are like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. And there's a process for that, right? You have to tell the story. You have to tell the why. Right? Whether it's an acquisition or a rebrand, why did you do it? Because everyone's going to assume it's because you went bankrupt or because you had a bad reputation. It has nothing to do with that. So you need to be, and Dan will tell you this, you need to be very very clear in your message about your why, because that matters, especially to your existing customers, right? Because they need something else. So there is a process, and you stage it and you send out notifications over and over and over again. You keep dual branding on for a while with like your social media, answering phones, and then you transition. So it is a process that you do that. So there's less confusion as possible, or as least confusion as possible.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Oh man, what am I going to? Have you guys had any? I know we talked earlier. We are having tons of issues now where like equipment shortages, parts and stuff like that. Is it hitting your area? I know you said it wasn't that bad though, right?
So it's not as bad. I at least haven't felt it as bad as I think some other people have. Now, Mike's also very smart, and we have a very good relationship with our Johnstone. We've had it for 13 years, 14 years now. So we work well together, and they're very good to us and making sure that we have the stock that we need in our warehouse. Parts are getting a little harder. Specifically OEM parts are getting a little harder these days. And if then you have to take it brand by brand by brand as to which ones are even harder to get. But so far, we're managing. So far.
Yeah. For us, we are the same way. So we sell mostly Goodman equipment, and we get it through an actual Goodman store and Johnstone. So we get all of our stock and stuff from Johnstone as well. And we've been the same way. Pretty much most of the stuff we need, we can get from one of them or other vendors. There's been a few things like around here, like Flex Duct is hard to come by. So
almost impossible. Yeah.
So we stocked up a bunch in our shop as much as we possibly could. I've been trying to get some more of like the normal, like 6-inch R8 stuff like that, just to keep,
Right.
I think PVC was an issue for a little bit, but we got through that. The only place you can get it was like Home Depot.
Yeah.
Because they were buying it bulk.
It's stupid hard to get right now. I mean, really stupid hard. I think there for a while, even Pookie was really hard to get. And it was like worth its weight in gold. And I was like, geez, who would have thought, right?
Yeah, completely empty. You could not find it. Mastic tape, couldn't find it. Yeah. I think that finally came back in. Thank God we didn't. Normally, we don't do any big duck jobs in the summer months. We'll give people a discount to push it to the off season.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, I mean, it's just, I think back and I think to myself, all the Pookie I've wasted on art projects all these years. I should have been saving it for the pandemic. But no, you're right. I mean, some of it's coming back around. I've heard a lot of people do kind of do some discounts for kind of pushing that ductwork into the fall. My installers would probably love me if I decided to do that.
Yeah, well, another thing that wasn't my idea. It was Ryan, the owner's idea, that we go out to just a regular sales call in the summertime, and those people have a working system. They're just looking to replace it. We'll get them to sign a contract then and there, but give them a discount to do the installation in October. Yeah. So we literally have October filled out with installs, still using that sense of urgency back then. If their system is to die or something before then yes, we'll go out and do it. But that way we can get all those people without cooling, maximize those, and then push some of that business off to try to keep us busy in these other months. And it's been working pretty good.
Good. Great. Yeah, I'll have to talk to my team about that. I bet they would love it.
Yeah, because I mean, who wants to be doing duct work in attics when it's 100 degrees outside? And our team would be kicking in the door. Sometimes you can't get around certain things. There's just there's certain risks that come with the trade that we're in. And if you're you're an installer, you're going to be in hot attics. It's going to suck. You're going to be sweaty. You're going to be out there freezing your nuts off in the wintertime. It is what it is.
Yeah. So listen up, people listening. If you don't like heat or potential death from heat strokes, don't go to HVAC install, because I'm always amazed when people do those jobs and then they complain, oh, it's hot in the attic. And I'm like, you fucking think? Like, yeah, it's hot in the attic. It's hot outside. Yeah.
People don't realize this is such a good industry to be in, and it's the only, like, you have a future. They're always going to need HVAC. They can't automate. They can't build robots to do what we do. The only thing that I hate, and I'm actually going to make a video that I made that I haven't put out on this, is like I'm a second generation. My dad did this trade. And I remember hearing him say like he could go to bars and stuff like that. And it would be a whole bunch of trades in there. It'd be like a trade bar, electricians, HVAC, plumbing guys. And everybody, the way they talk, they communicate. You just kind of had that bond with each other. And I feel like nowadays it's more like a lot of people are not willing to help the young guy or help the next guy. It's always, I don't want that guy to take my money. He's going to make more than me. It's like we lost that like wanting to help each other. Like I see these groups when people shit on each other and I'm like, why even comment? Why even say anything? You know, like why do we have to tear each other down? Does that make you feel good? Makes you feel like a better tech?
It's bullshit. Well, and then they want to fucking complain that there's no one that wants to do the trades anymore. And I'm like, well, because you've treated people like shit for so long. And you know, there's a lot of reasons that we don't have people interested in the trades like we used to. But one of them is some people are just tired of being shit on, right? And it is sometimes, it is an eggplant measuring contest sometimes in this industry. I don't have an eggplant to measure, so I don't participate in measuring eggplants. but I sure the shit see it. And sometimes I'm like, listen, those who can't fucking complain, those who can get down and do it.
Amen. I agree. And it's just like when I see some people like, I like it when a guy, like even a technician, he posts a picture of his job. Yeah, he made some mistakes, but that guy's probably proud of it. Maybe it's the first job he's done by himself. You know, get on there and be like, hey, man, it looks good. But hey, next time, if I was you, like constructive criticism, that's fine. But to go in there and just shit on people and we wonder why people don't want to deal with this trade. It's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. And that's why, it's why I'm very select in the groups that I belong to, because I just don't have time for the fucking bullshit. I don't have time for it. I'm like in a real hustle to really help people and to really grow people and to expand the idea of who can be in the trades and to run a fucking business. So I don't have time to play this white noise bullshit that people do on these groups. Like, just get off and go perfect your own trade. Because I'd like, the people that are so rude and comment, I'm like, then comment how yours looks. You're always just saying, oh, it doesn't look good, but show me your last install. Show me your last, condenser. What? Just show it to us. Show it to us. Tell us how much better you are in pictures and put your fucking face in it so we know you did it.
Yeah. And when I look them people up, they don't post anything.
Nothing.
Because I'll look them up to go through and I'm like, oh, let's see what this guy posted. Nothing. Yeah. He posted, they post nothing.
Bet you if you went to all the groups of the same naysayers in every single group, like no one is as good as they are.
Yeah. And I'm like, it must suck to live with that, such a miserable life that you have to just do that. But I don't want them to turn the podcast that way. It seems like you guys have it also. So how many technicians do you actually have counting HVAC?
14 total technicians. So we have 22 employees, 14 technicians.
Nice. That's amazing. 14 techs. So you don't have to give an answer, but I'm just thinking how you say you keep your guys busy. You guys have to be upwards in like the thousands of service contracts, correct?
We're not quite to 1,000 yet. So we're not quite to 1,000 yet. But we do keep them busy. Yeah. But here's the thing, right? We're not slamming 10 calls on him. You're only getting 3, max 4. Maybe if you're an on-call guy, 5, right? With the on-call that you're doing, which we don't really have a ton of that, but we do have some of it. So really we have an appropriate amount of techs for the amount of call volume that we have. I mean, we're always hiring. So like we're never going to turn down good quality techs, but we grow like we're supposed to when we know we have the demand. And we just don't book our guys. We give them the time to do the right thing and to get the repairs done today, because tomorrow's another day and we don't need shit to go back to if we don't have to. So I think we have the right amount of techs for the right amount of service calls and the right amount of maintenance that we have.
No, that makes sense. And that's what we went to. And to be honest, we didn't always do that. We were stuck in the mindset of, 5, 6, 7 calls, get them going, get them booking. You start seeing that ticket average drop. They're spending less time. The next day they come in, they're done. They're pissed. They don't want to be there. And you start doing that 3, 4 calls and then all of a sudden their ticket average goes up. The guys are happy. And I always tell them, it's funny, the customers that spend thousands of dollars with the biggest tickets are always your biggest reviews. They love the company. The cheap people who want a discount, they're the shitty reviews and the biggest headaches you have to deal with.
hands down, every single time. Give a discount to someone, marry them for life. It is just the way that it works. We used to be that same company too, Gil. Like we were like, hey, 10 calls, go 10 calls. But here's why, because our average ticket was like less than $200. So you had to run 10 calls to get even what we get on one service ticket right now. But our guys were burnt. They were tired. They didn't, they weren't selling blower motor pull and cleans because they had to do the work. Holy crap, I got 8 more calls. I don't want to pull this blower motor and clean this and put it back together the right way and actually do the right thing, because I will be working till 11 o'clock at night. Yep. When we decided we were the problem and we had to fix that, and we started taking advice from the good people, right, and started networking, then we realized we would be way more profitable in 1 call than we ever were in 10. And we would have much happier employees. And it changed everything about our business, everything.
That's amazing, because we realized it too. And that's what we try to do now. And we wish that we would have found it sooner, because that really is the way to have it, to me, to have a successful company. And that's a company that if I was still a technician, I would want to work for, because sadly, I work for those companies that don't give a shit about you. You're just another number. It's midnight and it's like, hey, I'm tired, boss. Like, I got one more call. Oh, well, just pull over and take a 15-minute break. You'll be all right. Like, no, like, did you not hear what I said? Like, I'm ready to pass out. So right. I've worked for places like that, and I will never be associated or a part of something like that. And it is guys like this, when you see them, when they take their time, I think when they start learning the process, I think it takes a little bit for them, repetition, to do it, but they all have that aha moment, that, oh shit, like, man, this works. Like, I'm getting off at 4:30 today, but I made $1,000 in commissions today, or you know what I mean? And I'm going home to, and we also tell our kids, our kids, they all feel like kids sometimes. But we tell our guys and stuff too. Like, if you have kids, like, and your kid's got a ball game or something, like, tell us, we want you to go to that. We don't want you to miss that. I've missed too many. I don't want them to do it.
Right. So not only tell us so that you can go, but tell us so we can find some way to support you, like either showing up and cheering on your kid, or maybe we can sponsor the Little League team that they're in. Like, yeah, it is about people first. And I said this with Evan and Thad, and I believe this is wholeheartedly true. If you do not give a shit about your employees outside of your job, they will never give a shit about your job.
I love that. That's a good.
Mm-hmm.
That's very, very true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just think that's the key to everything, is just give a shit about your people first.
Yeah. Well, and they have to have a personal life.
Yeah. Go figure, right?
Yeah. It's just, and I get it. That it's like, oh, well, it's summertime. It's the grind. We have to do what we have to do. It's like, well, do we? Do we have to do what we have to do? Like, it's, I think we can still get what we have done without having to be slave drivers. And, and that's when good people leave. And I'm glad that more companies, being able to talk to different people, seeing more companies doing like what you're doing and what we're trying to do, appreciating people. So all you guys out there, technicians out there, there's a company like this in your area. I promise you. There's at least 1-2 companies that are treating their people right. You think it's the great white, the unicorn that you can't find. They are out there. And I suggest that you go looking for them. You ask around, look at the tech in the supply house who's got a smile on his face and he's driving a brand new van. And, that's probably the guy that works for a company like this. He's not pissed off all day. The guy's coming to the supply house. Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly it. Don't go to the companies where the people have the grumpy face when you're in the houses. But, also ask her, just ask them, what do you love about the company that you're working for, right? Like, ask these guys, because the ones who work for these companies, they will gladly tell you, because if you are a good match for them and their team, they will want you as well. I know that we say a lot, like there's a shortage of good technicians out there. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because I feel like maybe there's just a shortage of technicians who have been treated good.
Yeah, I agree.
And so they're just like the familiar hell that they're in is better than the unfamiliar hell that they might go to. So they're just not sure. And it really is up to us owners and technicians in the field and stuff that are at good companies. It's up to us to tell the rest of the world and the people in the trades, no. It doesn't have to be that way. There are good companies. There are good technicians that work for great companies. And we can change it, but we've screwed ourselves for too long. So we have to live in the space we're in now and then think about how we're going to fix it.
Yeah, well, I saw a post in my group, I think it was this morning. Somebody said, oh, these companies are hiring all these young kids and just teaching them to be salesmen. No, they're hiring these young kids who don't think they're super tech. They don't know any different. You teach them a system and a process and they're following it and they're being successful doing it. It's happened, like you can teach somebody HVAC. You can't teach them to not be a shitbag. So if they're a good person, they're a good person. You can teach them the trade. So that's what a lot of people are doing. You're finding a good person who's looking for an opportunity, bring them in. I can teach them how to fix stuff. I can teach them what the parts are, how to fix it. But I can't teach them that drive and, to want to better themselves. We have a guy that we just hired that he worked in a supply house and the kid's got so much drive, his potential, like it's infectious. You know what I mean? The fact that he's wanting to get better, constantly asking questions. Like sometimes I'm like, I already answered that, it frustrates you to a point. But then when you sit back and think about it, I'm like, I love that this guy's like that. I'm glad that he constantly wants to keep growing.
Yeah, if you get guys that are asking questions, goodbye. You got to ask a lot of questions. We have a guy that has been with us almost 3 years. We got him from a parts house as well. Actually, Mike, was in the parts houses every day back then. And so he came to me and he said, hey, I have this kid, like he's Johnny on the spot. He knows where to go in the parts house and he knows the parts. He's just really green and he doesn't really know anything like in-field mechanical. So I said, great. Okay, wonderful. At that time we were still hiring and firing. Mike and I don't do that anymore. But so I said, bring him in. So me and my general manager, Amanda, we interviewed him. And I mean, he was soft in every possible way. Like he was very like meek and like he was just soft toned and just very extra polite, called me ma'am, all these things. And he left and me and Amanda looked at each other and I told Mike, we are going to eat this kid alive. Like this kid, I'm not sure that he is going to make it, right? Like I don't know if we cuss in front of him, is he going to cry? I'm not really sure at this point. And you just cannot have thin skin in the trades, period. End of story. So you just cannot have it. And that kid is now ready to take his installers journeyman's test because he's been on the install crew for the last year and a half learning that side of it. He did service with Mike for a long time. Then he learned install and he's ready to go and he's ready to take on his own crew. And this is a kid who didn't know a wrench from a screwdriver. And talk about, I've answered this so many times, like Mike's the kind of guy, if he's training you in field, when he puts his hand out, and I learned this firsthand when I was his apprentice, you better know what fucking tool he wants next. And then when he hands that tool back to you, you better put that back in his backpack exactly where you got it from, right? Yeah. Like, this is what he does. And Mike's a really good teacher and he's very patient for the most part. But how many times can you show someone what a wrench is? And recently, Jake actually said to him, man, I needed those lessons. I needed those kicks in my ass. I needed you to be a little more firm with me than everyone else has with me in life, because it's how I grew. And he just had to learn that way. So we're constantly hiring. We're constantly hiring new young people. And I don't care if you have any experience at all. I don't care if you just are still in high school. I will take you and train you. It's fine.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, we're the same way. And it sounds like, Mike's knows his stuff too. And he's an awesome boss to work for. Cause I agree. That's how I had my father to teach me. So it was a little different. I already had that respect for him, but it's tried to be the same way with these young guys. It's like, you need to be one step ahead, like picking up trash, like those little things. Like, yes, I kind of translate it to like football. I tell like some of the guys I used to coach, I'm like, what you don't have in talent, you make up for in technique, So it's kind of the same in this, like, hey, if you don't know how to fix certain things, well, guess what? That better be the cleanest fucking job site in the world. Okay.
Right.
All the trash is breaking down. The equipment's where it's got to be. There's not a screw in the driveway. The runners, the carpets are all covered, every last thing. Like, that's your role. It's a role player. Okay. And then when you see like, hey, this guy's getting ready to start doing gas, do the gas line. I'm going to go get all his gas stuff. I'm going to bring it here.
Right.
Be one step ahead of them. Like, that goes a long way. And that's how you earn the respect of these guys. You're not just another shithead coming in trying to make, minimum wage or whatever it is. So we teach them the same thing, kind of like how your husband's doing.
Yeah. And honestly, Mike's theory is this, and I think most good journeyman trainers should have this theory with their apprentices. Do not try and do it your fucking way until you can prove to me that you've done it my way. Do it my way over and over and over and over again. And then I will listen to you about better efficiency or a different process or whatever it will be. But the first thing we need to teach is paying attention. Are you learning? Are you watching? Are you listening? What are you gaining? Not just standing around, looking around, going, "What? I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing, so I'm just a lump on." No, like you said, go clean the job site. Go. I don't care if you take the customer's trash can out. Go do something. Do not stand there and act like you have no responsibility in your own progression. Because
if I walk up to a job and I see a guy like this, I want to take his phone and beat him with it. I literally want to just beat him with it. Like, what are you doing? Like, I mean, I don't care if you were sitting down picking blades of grass. I would be less pissed off than sitting there seeing you playing on your damn phone.
Yeah, I'm not sure Mike hasn't done that. I mean, we'd have to ask him. But it's definitely a pet peeve of his. I know damn well I didn't get treated any differently at all. And I knew better. I knew that, I was carrying a bag and gauges this way. And I had tape on my arm and gloves in my pocket. And I had some scars and some injuries. He didn't go light on me at all.
Yeah. But you doing all that probably helped form to what you are today, being able to talk about things and know about things in the field that, if somebody didn't do that, then you wouldn't have those experiences.
Yeah, so I'm a visual learner. So Mike kept trying to tell me, everything in HVAC has 16,000 names. And so, Mike was trying to teach me kind of in-house, right? And he kept saying evac coil, and then he would say A coil. And I was like, God, there's so many fucking parts. I don't know I'm ever going to understand this, but I'm a visual learner. And it just took me being on job sites. Oh, A coil. I get it. Okay. I think it's just visual. So I think that's what people need. They need to be on, I think CSRs need to be out there. DSRs need to be out there. My general manager, Amanda's gone on the field so many times. So I think they just need to go out there and see it. And the same way, I think technicians need to spend time in the office understanding how the call flow goes and why it is that we don't have a fucking magic crystal ball to tell if this call is going to come in at the end of the day and you've already been there today. Super sorry about your luck, but they called and they got last slot. So we're not just asshole dispatchers trying to ping you everywhere. We just don't know. So I think cross-training is essential to a good team.
Yeah, you don't get that text versus office, install versus service kind of stuff. You bring everybody together. So even we have some guys that are just service guys, some guys that are just installs, but they all know that certain times we're going to do everything. We're a team that you're going to have to get pulled and do this, pulled and do that. They have to go into the office to see what the girls go through. It's funny because our general manager's name is also Amanda. So, but yeah, so she, shows them what they do. I'm like, those phones in the summertime, like you guys don't want to be in here. No. You don't realize what they're doing. So you know what I mean? They have to appreciate everybody's job. Everybody does their piece of the puzzle to make this thing work in like a well-oiled machine. So
that's right. And that's more important. Everyone has an equal importance in this team. And we have installers, we have service techs, right? But again, at the end of the day, everyone calls out, like it's mandatory in my company. Hey, I'm done with my job or I'm done with my calls. First of all, they have to clear off with their service manager. And then second of all, they really do have to ask every single person still in the field, do you need help? Where can I come help you? Because we are not done until we are all done.
I like that. I like that. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, this team is not done until the entire team is done.
And it's funny because our guys kind of do that themselves. You know, they call each other. They're kind of tight, but I want to, make that have to be like, hey, okay, you're done. Well, go help Jimmy or whatever, I like that. Jesus, can't speak. Well, currently, what CRM are you guys using? I'm curious.
So right now we use Service Titan.
Yeah, we're in. Are you liking it? You're happy, or?
I think that everything has a time and a place, and for a stretch of time, I'm not unhappy with it. I just think that there are equal opportunities out there for everyone else as well. And so I don't think it's the end all to end all. And I don't think it makes your business like everyone else thinks it does.
Yeah, never mind. I think I've seen your post, so I know where you stand. we won't do that on a live Facebook post.
I mean, it's okay. I feel the way I feel, and everyone knows it. It's interesting. I didn't know people were watching me so much with my posts on that. I just, make the right decision for your company based on what's right for you, not based on the noise on the groups.
No, amen. And the big company I came before this, we were Service Titan. I loved it. Onboarding was a nightmare, headache, hated every second of it. Once it got going, I loved it. I love what it did for us, especially we went from paper and pencil to Service Titan. So, I mean, getting the information that took me, figuring numbers out and carry the one and shit like that. And now I'm just getting it. To here we have House Call Pro, which I like House Call Pro, but it doesn't do enough of what we need. It's even when they came out with the XL, it's not. There's not enough meat on the bone. And then we looked at Service Titan, and obviously the new one that has been out, Sarah, looks pretty awesome, but it's such a hard decision to know which one, because they all have their little benefits and quirks that I like. It's hard to know, that's a big thing to change, that's how everybody in your company operates.
It's a huge thing. And when I onboarded and went live with Service Titan several years ago, it was in May. And I'm so sorry to my team. I'm so sorry I did that to you in May. That was so not good leadership on my style at all. I've never used House Call Pro, so I don't know much about it at all. We were with Service Fusion before we were with Service Titan. Service Titan brought a lot of things to the table for us, right? But mainly, I think what it brought to the table was, the masterminds group, so you can get help using it. And then you meet people there, and then you realize, oh, there's this other group, right? And then you go and then you meet people there. And I think it's the people. It's always the people. It's really not that the CRM or the tools or the marketing or whatever you're doing in your business. It really always boils down to people. And I think that's where Mike and I were able to really grasp some changes, listen more than we talk, and weed out some of that noise, but take some really good gold nuggets. I mean, I can learn from anyone, even if I don't like them personally, I can learn some gold nuggets from them. So just doing that, I don't know that it's actually this CRM. I do think that there are some good options out there for people.
Yeah. How was Service Fusion? A lot of people say it's similar to Service Titan.
No, not similar. Not similar. So I was with it for 3 years, and it did me just fine for the 3 years. But I did need to know numbers better. And I know there's 1,000 different ways I could have done that now. But to me, it was simple to have it on one dashboard and to see it. So that was helpful to me. Managing memberships, events. That's different than knowing who your members are, right? But being able to keep very accurate accounting of your membership events is kind of nice to have. Proposals weren't a thing in it. So, there are some very nice different features. The price is different too. So
That's a big thing. Yeah. Cause we've been looking at all kind of stuff growing. I know our, Amanda, there's all kind of different issues with customers with multiple addresses and, the maintenance plans, like you said, just trying to find something that does everything. The only thing that we really like is, we're okay with the technician seeing their whole day, knowing when they're going to be off. And I think there's one the new one that's out. I don't think you can do that. And that is the only drawback I have on that whole software. I think it's amazing that you can, I know you can set times or whatever, and it'll say, they know when they're going to get off. But I don't know, just our culture and our team, they work good when they can see their whole day, that we're not running them ragged. So that was my only.
Ours can see their whole day too. So we just have this rule, right? I'm going to let you see your whole day as long as two things you remember. First, don't get too attached to the call because it may change based on opportunities that come in or routing or whatever. And don't ever let me find you. And I don't have this problem, but it's still a rule. Don't ever let me find you doing less for this job because you've seen this opportunity that you think is a better opportunity. The only call that matters is the call you're on right now. That's it. So I see why some people don't, but we're like you. We for right now, we let them see everything. And I don't know, I'd have to ask Billy, to be honest with you, I'd have to ask Billy if there's a setting where they could see everything. I don't know that you could see the address and stuff, but you might be able to see the call type. I don't know.
Because that software really, so what I'm saying, anybody out there that has not checked out Sera, SERA, it's a pretty badass software. I mean, that I was pretty blown away when Billy showed that to me and Ryan. It was like, I was like, oh, what does that? Oh, does that, you know? So it was, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. You know, what's coolest about it, I think, and this is where I think people won't separate the two ideas. You have to ask yourself, do you want to be efficient or not? And I don't think people understand that the bigger is not always better because it may have too many features, may have too many upgrades. It may not have, you may have to have a full-time person on staff just to manage the programming and the workarounds and the problems. So sometimes simple is better. You have to have the right simple, but sometimes more simple is better to be more efficient.
Yeah, simple, but it takes care of all the small tasks that you need, gives you the key thing, the key numbers. Yeah, having these other ones, it's good, but I have what I need. I can figure these out if I need them.
That's right.
You know, I agree. And especially all these things, like we were just in Louisville for the Service World Expo. And you hear a lot of things like it's huge now, the whole like online booking. Like if you don't have that, it's, you know, and we just, for now, until we decide what we're going to do CRM wise, did Schedule Engine with House Call Pro just to be able to get that option to our customers, because my boys, well, I don't get haircuts. But my sons, we booked them a haircut appointment, and I did it through Alexa, you know, the thing. And I'm like, that's the future. Like, that's where we're going.
Right. I love Schedule Engine. We've been using them for about 1.5 years now. And I love them. Awesome. I love the people. I love the product. I think it's great. I think it has a lot of room. I know it has a lot of room for improvement. And I say it in a way where I know they know that and they're really working towards it. So I can't wait to see what else they come up with.
Yeah, it's been awesome working with them. That's why it was so easy. It was good people. And then we worked it out where I'd have been stupid if I didn't do it.
Yeah.
So it made you one of those deals you can't refuse. Right. So, and it's funny, I had never even heard of them until I went to Kentucky to Service World. Yeah. Okay. I didn't even know they existed. And especially being a podcaster and talking to people, I was like, well, that's crazy. I'm like, so if I haven't, there's got to be other people that haven't heard about you. I'm like, so maybe we should get you guys on a podcast and talk about it so people know that you're an option, because especially how simple they are and how that when they onboard and get going, it's really there's nothing to it.
Yeah, I'm sure Stefan and Ray would be happy to do that.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. I think I forget the guy I've been talking to, Addison or something like that, is the rep, but I know they have a whole team of people. Yeah. All right. Well, I won't keep you too much longer there, Miss Stacy. I thank you so much for coming on. This has been a really awesome conversation. I love talking to people, like just talking about what they do in their business and their company, and then also finding like-minded people. So obviously I didn't get to meet your husband, but it sounds like he's, you know, thinks like I do, the way you guys run your business. It's not surprised that you guys are successful, because I mean, if I was in Oklahoma, it's a company I want to work for.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I love meeting people. I know you and I hadn't really talked much before, but I love meeting people and like-minded people because we have to learn from each other. And if we can't share our failures, we can't have any successes, right? Like that's what the thing is about. So, I love networking and talking to people. And there are some great people out there that have a lot of great knowledge, and they've been doing it far less than I have. And so I love just watching and seeing like, oh, wow, what did they learn so much faster than I can? Let me just shut my mouth and listen for a few minutes.
Yeah, I love talking to different people and seeing the things they learned. Like I said, I am a guru of nothing. I know a lot about little things, but I don't ever claim to know everything. And I love to learn.
Yeah, me too.
Technical stuff about business. I mean, I love to learn, and then I love to implement it, see how it works. And then, hey, maybe now I can share that with somebody else.
Yes.
I just love that.
Yeah, I love doing that too. Probably a little too much for my team, but it's okay. We're reining back the new stuff this year. Solid on the stuff I've already, thrown in their lap. But we're really excited for this next year. We know a lot of, really great things are going to happen in the industry. So we're excited for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we definitely have to do this. We'll definitely try to stay in touch. I'll give you my email and different things like that to stay in touch. And maybe next time we can have you and your husband on if you guys both have a chance to talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Mike would love to do that.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much, Stacy. I'm going to go ahead and close this out real fast. Guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any questions you'd like to ask Stacy, you can comment in this group and you can see that way she's in the group. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. Make sure you're out there, guys. Like I always say, you always want to make it home safe, make it home the same way you left. Go out there, be careful, do what the next guy's not doing. Set yourself apart. All right. There's so many opportunities where guys, they sit there and say, oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. Come on, man. Get that foot out of your mouth, put it in your ass and get some work done. Okay. If you guys know if I can help you in any way, please hit me up. I'd be more than happy to help you in any way possible. If I can't, like I said, I'll find somebody who can. All right. Until next time, we'll talk with you mofos later.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored Podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored Podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.